Hello and welcome to Starcast from Planet Waves. I'm Eric Francis Coppolino, author of Planet Waves Horoscope, and host of Planet Waves FM on Pacifica. This is the edition for Thursday, March 14th, 2026. I'm very happy that you are not too busy to join me for a few minutes of astrology. Welcome to all of our new subscribers and to our listeners and regulars and lots of my astrology clients. It's good to be with you. Before I get into the astrology, I just have this thought that I haven't known how to share until now, and this happens sometimes. I'm a Pisces. It can take me a long time to think things through, but it's like this. Imagine if you were, imagine we were all like running. We're running, right? We're running. But you're not really a runner, but maybe you can run, but you're not really a runner. And you happen to know that I run marathons regularly. And I'm saying, God damn, it's hard to keep up. And you're like, yeah, I can't keep up. But then you're thinking, wow, this person runs marathons and they're having a hard time keeping up. Well, I am a marathon runner of tracking news issues, simultaneous, rapidly developing news issues. I've been doing this for a long time. I entered journalism more or less at the same time as a writer and as an editor. And when you're an editor, you are keeping track of what other people are doing, what other writers are doing, and you're also keeping track of your own work, and it is complicated. And as the world has increased in complexity and everything has exponentially increased in speed, things are more and more complex, and they're moving faster and faster. And we are well past the point, and Marshall McLuhan was warning about this 50, 60 years ago, that under electrical conditions, you cannot sort things out. You cannot categorize. You have to spot the patterns and be able to use a kind of intuitive sense to make sense of what is going on. Now, I take both approaches, but I think that most people who are literate, most people who have been on the planet for a few years, most people, let's say, older than 45, which almost all of my readers, listeners, customers, and clients are older than 45. We're from the age, born and raised in the age, where you read things carefully, and even as TV was becoming supreme, and we're used to sorting things out. Even though we're raised under electrical conditions, we're used to sorting things out. And I can tell you, I can confirm for you that largely because I know how capable I am at tracking even like 5 major investigations at the same time, like deep stuff by different reporting teams, it's almost impossible to keep up with the speed that things are moving, and with not only that, but with the complexity of the issues, with how many facets of every issue there are, how many people are affected, how many regions are affected, how many different industries are affected, and where the biggest issue in the media that we are confronted with is the evolution of the next level of media. That would be what is falsely, should be illegally, being called AI. And this is leading to a lot of different effects that most people haven't the faintest idea are coming from this thing, that are stemming from, that are emerging from this same scenario, the same state of mind, the same environment. And we're very well trained out of making the connections, and most people would say, that can't be. You can't connect the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz with an artificial intelligence data center somewhere. Well, it's that complex, and I'm just here to tell you that I work diligently to be able to even have the meekest framework of what is going on. And I cannot imagine how you must feel without that ability, without the pre-allocated bandwidth, let's say, without having people that you can go to for discussion. I don't mean podcasts. I mean human beings, where you can run things past people for their knowledgeable perception on financial issues, economic issues, and things like this. We are being completely hosed down. No one knew this in late 2022, just 2.5 years after 4.4 billion people were locked into their homes, were kept out of work, locked out of school, locked out of colleges and universities, locked out of their laboratories. 2.5 years later. And it's always a different approach. It's always a completely different thing that you're not expecting. You have no idea what it is. It's not recognizable as the next wave of this thing, wave after wave. Now, we have been under highly unusual astrology for all of, well, really, for 2 years, I think, since the total solar eclipse Conjunct Chiron happened back in 2024. That was kind of the starter pistol going off, and that there has been a lot of Aries. Chiron and Aries emphasized many planets passing through Aries. Chiron-Eris conjunction forming, and a diversity of other things. And we then this picks up pace radically in 2025 as planets continue to change signs. We've been through all these sign changes. Pluto completing its sign change into Aquarius. What else have we got? Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries, and Uranus now in Gemini. That began last year. There was a brief spell where Uranus visited Gemini. And so when you see this, you know that it represents something else in the environment. It is not the astrology that is doing this. It is not the fact that Neptune passes the place where the sun is on the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere. This has nothing to do with anything, except that it represents something. It tells us as an indicator of what's going on in our environment. Symbols stand for something else. And so when we are in astrology like we are in, that is telling us to look around to our environment to see where the pressure is coming from. Now, I've got in my hands the chart for May 16th, the 3:33:58. Could have been 3:33 even, but it's 3:33 and 58 minutes, so that's kind of more like 3:34 for May 16th. And this is the conjunction of Mars and Chiron. So you know there's the Mars-Chiron conjunction happening. I've explained this a lot of times. I'm concerned that this is not very well understood. I mean, I did so many articles, I was sure people were getting sick of it, and yet it, I try to make every one of them different. But it's when you have a conjunction that last happened, like 53, 54 years ago, and this pair in Aries, and before that, the last one happened at the time that the printing press was invented. You've got big astrology. But I keep going on astrology boards. I'm now part of the Astrological Association of Great Britain, and people are leaving Eris out of the chart. I cannot imagine how they can do that. It's like leaving Pluto out of the chart for the Kennedy assassination or out of the chart for Woodstock. You can't leave it out. You can say, well, I don't know. It's not really a... People kind of knew Pluto was a planet in the 60s, but they weren't really reading it very carefully. Dane Rudyard was paying attention to Pluto. So I'm seeing the same thing happen with Eris, that it is not being analyzed. It's not being looked at. It's not being acknowledged in quite a few places. Some people, occasionally I see I see something. I don't see anybody talking about the mental environment, though. The way in which the mental environment, which is driven by technology, is completely rearranging us as people. So this conjunction is still very close. It's 3 degrees apart right now. And at the time of, well, I gave the time, 3:33 p.m. daylight time, Mars makes its alignment to Chiron. At the same moment, there is a new moon, the new moon in Taurus, Sun conjunct Moon, Moon conjunct Sun in Taurus, with Ceres in the conjunction. Mercury, Ceres, a complicated little asteroid now considered a dwarf planet. And Mercury, very close by, all conjunct the fixed star Algol. Now, I have done an article about this as part of, well, this is part of the subscriber materials being delivered today. And I've done 12 readings for all 12 signs and rising signs. So you can have an idea of how this works from 12 different viewpoints. That's really what the horoscope is. It reads one chart from 12 viewpoints. Okay, so this is, again, a peak of activity. Moon conjunct Sun with Ceres in the mix for this 4-year body. Takes up 1/3 of the total mass of the asteroid belt. Imagine, you've seen pictures of the asteroid belt, thousands and thousands and thousands of little rocks and specks and little miniature planets and all of that. Well, 1/3 of the mass of the asteroid belt is taken up by Ceres. Ceres is about food. As deep as I go into Ceres, as deep as I, in the weird contexts that Ceres comes up, and I have been making a special effort to go deeper and deeper into this. And I didn't feel so bad when I wrote to Melanie Reinhardt, the Chiron master of Chiron Nessus Folus, and teacher of minor planet delineation, very brilliant minor planet delineator, said, yeah, Ceres has always given me a hard time too. I never really have a sense I understand what is going on. Well, what I have decided is you come back to food first. Like, you come back to food and you come back to the mothers and daughters, the same themes that were being delineated in the 1970s. There's much more going on, but you start there and you've got a good starting point, because it's a lot of times these planets point to the obvious, right? Sometimes things are a little bit abstract, and it could be frequently the case. But then if you look for the duh level, okay, God is a god of agriculture. Maybe this has got something to do with agriculture. And Al Morrison, 20th century astrologer, for whom we have to thank for Chiron. Without Al Morrison, the work would not have been done about Chiron in the 1980s. He drove that process and made sure that a book was published and that there was a group of astrologers focused. And Al of Ceres said, also think any form of mechanization, any form of mass production, not just of food, but of anything. Mass production. We got a lot of mass production going on in the world, including the mass production of emotions. So when you put Ceres, Moon, Sun, and Mercury right on top of Algol, I'm not a big fixed star person, but you can't miss Algol, and it is kind of considered the worst of the fixed stars by the ancients. They don't like this one a lot, but it's like, well, if you look at what's going on now, you could say, well, I can see why they don't like it. I mean, there are good things happening some places. There are good things happening for some individuals, but what we collectively are not seeing is where things are going collectively for all of us here, where the whole ship is going. Just because the ship is going, there's the hantavirus ship, wherever the heck it is. I'm going to take this up tomorrow night on Planet Waves FM. And once again, pride the lid off the septic tank of the fraud, of the claim, of these viruses that are being used to terrify people. They got the moon suits out, and the quarantine going on, and the rescue ships, and everyone's having a panic attack over Mickey Mouse. It's supposed to be a mouse virus. I think of it a lot because I like to leave the butter out. I mean, everyone has their things they do. I like to leave the butter out. Every morning I wake up and there's nibbles taken out of the butter. And finally, I stopped throwing out that part of the butter. I just put it in the pan and make my eggs. And I'm thinking, oh, hantavirus. Oh, what's a hantavirus? How do you pronounce it? So while this is all going on, they're trying to scare the pants off of everybody with the fucking mouse virus and quarantining people. Okay? But there's deeper anger. There is deeper grief. Every time 9/11 comes around and comes up, now we're heading for the 25th anniversary, right? Coming up right in September. We never processed the grief of that. We never processed, never. There was no time of national mourning. When President Kennedy was assassinated, the world stopped for 3 days. Everything stopped. The world sat Shiva. And for the funeral, the world stopped and grieved. People who remember President Kennedy can still tell you how sad they were. Ardent Republicans, people who despised him politically, to this day still grieve the loss of President Kennedy. I'm not talking about Dick Nixon, who's gone from the planet. We have not grieved 9/11. We have not grieved the Vietnam War. We have not grieved many, many things. And the way we do things in American culture is we just stuff them. And in addition to all of the environmental problems that we have this emotional problem of stuffing grief, of not allowing ourselves to feel anything. And by the way, the problem feeling, this problem feeling is very often projected onto men. I see no viable reason to say this is just about men. There are people of all, let's say, all colors on the LGBTQ hetero flag who can express their emotions, who can express their feelings, who can express their grief. That's not the limiting factor. The limiting factor is the way that our society works. And so when I see Ceres, Moon, Sun on Algol with Mercury there, thinking, all right, this stuffing of feelings has got to stop. All right, let's talk about Mars conjunct Chiron. So one of the deep crises of the electrical era, and the electronic era, then the digital era, and now the, let's say, large language model era, the talking, yakking computers that you can ask about the nature of the universe to. Take a lot of mushrooms and pretend that you're having a conversation with some kind of extra galactic entity, and the thing may be haunted. I'm not convinced that it's not, but it appears to be some kind of a, let's say, computing magic trick. What it does is strips identity. Very simply, if you have some job and then you've read 10 articles that say that the thing you do, the thing that you go to work every day for, and you maybe like your job, maybe an ordinary job, maybe you work in an insurance office, or maybe you work in a library, or you're like the sushi manager for a big chain of restaurants or something like that. Whatever. It's like it's not some glamorous special job. It's just an ordinary job, but you like your job. You're good at what you do, and you do it well. And you read 10 times or 5 times that whatever that job is, it's going to be taken over by some software application. This grates on you. It's like getting psychically laid off. It is like having an important reason for your existence and something that you connect to your sustenance and your dharma in society. Like, a job is a lot of things to people. And one of them is the role that you play in society for which you are counted on. Bus driver, anything. And you're told, nope, that's going out the window. Nope, we're going to have some machine do that. And the idea that there might be A 50-ton, 18-wheel big rig flying down the New York State Thruway at 70 miles an hour, run by a computer. I don't find that to be encouraging at all. And I cannot imagine how I would feel if I actually made my living, driving a truck down the New York State Thruway. Now, remember, I'm talking about Chiron and Mars in a conjunction. I am talking about it. I'm going to get to the astrology and kind of hook it on there in a second. The most vulnerable of all of the roles are the ones that just simply use the mind, or not simply, but that use the mind to write, to solve problems, to do accounting, to create words, to come up with concepts, to create advertisements, to create imagery, to put together ideas that relate to other people. The making of art, the making of music, the making of beauty in any form. My observation, now from having been part of a team that has read or looked over thousands of articles, and I estimate that I have watched somewhere around 700 to 1,000 videos analyzing the whole AI problem. Remember, it's not really AI, but I'm calling it that. The most vulnerable people are the ones who work in ideas. And it is not just that the role that we play is vulnerable. It is that the entire environment is lowering sensitivity to what would be considered good or beautiful or persuasive or interesting or friendly or loving. That the more we're exposed to this environment, the more numb we get. The more numb we get, the less it matters. If all you eat is Wendy's and McDonald's, you're not necessarily going to appreciate sitting down to a proper French dinner, a Thai dinner. What's the difference? If all you can really taste is salt, fat, and sugar and starch, and so we are being kind of fast-fooded out of our sensitivity, and our sensitivity is our identity. Our creativity is how, and I don't mean identity in a thing like a pin that you put on. I mean something much closer to the core of your relationship to your dharma, to your calling to exist in the first place. And the activity in late Aries is indicative of, it is illustrating this vortex that is opening up, the ground falling out beneath us. But it is also demonstrating a calling to awaken and to respond, a calling to assert who you are, a calling in the face of the whole idea of making an individual creative contribution being erased and eliminated by a bunch of psychopathic billionaires who are lying with every word out of their mouth. I cannot even look at the face of Sam Altman without cringing. That what they are doing is attempting to bleach humanity out of its sense of existence, its relationship to existence, all so that they can basically use all the water and all the electricity and conquer the world with garbage, with nothing. Mars conjunct Chiron is calling on you to wake up to who you are, to assert yourself, to claim your relationship to your existence, to your purpose. This is not subtle. This is bold. It is a very strong statement. And when you put Mars together with Chiron in Aries, and then Eris right there, you have this whole scene. You have all the different elements right there. You have the chaos of Eris, which I described in an article that went out last week. I will see if I can remember to include it on Monday, actually. I sent it out Monday to describe Mars going through first Eris, then Chiron, right? It's one process. Eris representing all of this fragmentation. Mars representing self-assertion, having the experience of the fragmentation. Then Mars conjunct Chiron is the calling to put yourself back together, to reintegrate, to remember that you are not a bunch of pieces laying on the floor. And there are many people who feel like they are in pieces laying on the floor. And it gets worse every day for many people. A sense of despondency, a sense of what I have been describing in my own readers and listeners now for a couple of years is an inconsolable quality, like nothing makes people feel better. And I am suggesting that the response that will help you is a response within your awareness. It is about decisions that you make, and it is about turning back toward yourself. In Tantra, this is called pravriti, the turning back toward the source. It's one thing in Tantra, but similarly, in Tantra, it is the gateway into time. I'm being very polite here, because the children are all listening. The gateway into time. Well, in the sense that I'm using it, in the astrological sense, pravriti is the gateway into consciousness. It is the source within you from which consciousness emerges. And it is likely that you have your back turned to this, and you're being propelled forward with your back to the gateway. And the thing that will help you is to become self-aware and turn around, to turn yourself around. There are many ways to do this, but just the idea is helpful. Just the metaphor, just the notion that you can embody this, and I'm saying this is described right now as Mars conjunct Chiron. One other thing, that inner source is also described by Vesta, and Vesta has entered Aries. Overnight last night, Vesta, that's to say, I haven't checked the exact time, but it seems to be overnight Wednesday to Thursday, that Vesta, the brightest asteroid, the core fire of human creativity, of human love, of human sexuality, the core fire of consciousness, entered Aries, mounted the Aries point. This is a wonderful symbol and a reminder to tend the flame, to not abandon your role, your responsibility, your dharma of tending the flame within yourself, that creative fire that you contain, that sense of life, that sense of belonging, the sense of your life being organized around both this inner hearth and your responsibility to, let's say, keep an eye on the stove. All right, I am planning to be back with you tomorrow night for an edition of Planet Waves FM. Good to be back, and I'll catch you in a day or so. Lots of love. Signing off from the Harshaw House in the Catskill Mountains of New York. Bye for now.